Hi, I'm James Hamilton from Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal, and today we'll discuss something that has frustrated woodworkers since the beginning of time. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just cut up a tree into neat little rectangular project parts and they'd all just fit together? A lot of new woodworkers think that's how it works, but it doesn't take them long to realize that wood moves. You may have a perfect rectangle with flat faces and square edges one day, but it can be a totally different situation tomorrow. Boards can twist, they can bow along their length, and they can develop a curved edge or a crook. But mostly, they can cup. Almost every board you ever work with will be cupped to some extent when you get it, and even a flat board can become cupped in a few hours laying on the bench top. Understanding how and why wood cups can be the difference between a beautiful project that lasts for generations and one that ends up in a bonfire in the backyard. So let's take a minute to look at the science. Then we'll have some tips to carry you from your board selection to applying the finish to your project. Wood fibers are like straws. When a tree is alive, those fibers are full of water. When that tree's cut down and sawn into boards at the mill, a lot of the moisture is still inside. It leaves gradually through evaporation, and as it does, those fibers contract. But they don't contract evenly and they don't contract permanently. Even after the board is dried in a kiln, those fibers will always be trying to reach the same moisture level as the air around them. On humid days, they're going to swell up. On dry days, well, you get the point. When a board swells and shrinks, it doesn't get longer or shorter, at least not to the extent that a woodworker would even notice. It mostly moves in two directions, radially and tangentially. Take a flat sawn board, for example, which is cut from a part of a tree where the rings are nearly parallel to the surface of the board, so it looks like there's layers. As the moisture continues to leave the wood fibers, these layers will get thinner and narrower. Likewise, if the humidity in the air around the board is greater than the moisture content in those fibers, those layers will get thicker and wider. Changes across the rings are called radial movement. Changes along the rings is called tangential movement. And the two are not equal. Wood moves about twice as much tangentially as it does radially. So if you had a flat sawn board with rings nearly parallel to the surface like this one, the width would change twice as much as the thickness of the board. Simple enough, right? Not so fast. When was the last time you saw a board with rings this straight? Unless you use really narrow stock from a really big tree, it's more likely that you're using a plain sawn board where the rings become more and more perpendicular to the board's surface as they get closer to the edges. Since the angle of the rings in relation to the board's surface changes, some parts of the board are getting thicker or thinner at a faster rate than other parts, which are getting wider and narrower. This leads to cupping, which is why flat sawn boards like this are so unstable, and woodworkers prefer quarter sawn boards instead. Quarter sawn boards are oriented so the rings are perpendicular to the faces. This consistent, even grain doesn't just look nice. It's also more predictable because the tangential and radial movement is always even across the board. And the tangential movement, which is what affects the wood the most, is minimal because each ring segment is very narrow. Unfortunately, we can't all use quarter sawn wood in every project. They'd be prohibitively expensive. Many species are very difficult to find in quarter sawn, and not every project would look good with quarter sawn grain. But we can do some things to minimize the effects of wood movement, and that starts at the lumber yard. Try to avoid boards with end grain that dramatically changes. And if any part of the board looks like it was near the center of the tree, avoid that. If you have a wide plain sawn board, you may cut away the middle and use the two edge sections, which will be rift or quarter sawn and more stable. Once you get the lumber to your shop, let it acclimate for a few days before you plane and joint it flat. While you work, try to avoid any situation where the wood may absorb or lose moisture unevenly. For example, if you run a board through a thickness planer to make it thinner, and you remove all the material from just one surface, you're going to expose the deeper, damper inner fibers on just one side of the board, and that's going to lead to cupping as those fibers dry. Or if you leave a board on a bench top overnight, that may cause the top surface to dry faster than the bottom. That's going to lead to cupping too. In fact, once you get a board flat, use it immediately if you can, or at least get the joinery cut so you can then force it back flat when you assemble the joint later. It's also a good idea to wrap project parts in plastic to keep the moisture levels from changing and the workpieces deforming before you use them. Speaking of joinery, certain types of joinery can help fight a board's tendency to cup too. The dovetailed corners on a blanket chest are strong enough to fight cupping, so they keep those sides flat. Frame and panel construction makes it possible to use wide panels without cupping because the grooves in the frame keep the panel flat while still allowing it to expand and contract. Breadboard ends have the same effect on a tabletop, and special fasteners that are set in slots can hold a large panel flat while still allowing it to move without tearing itself apart. Finally, finish both sides of wide panels like tabletops, even if the underside will never be seen. You don't want one surface absorbing humidity and the other one locking it out. Understanding the cupping forces you're up against and applying these common sense tips from the lumberyard to your finished project will save you a lot of frustration, and your projects will be better for it. For more great tips, tricks, and tutorials designed to make you a better woodworker, check out Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal. You can read and subscribe for free at stumpynubs.com.